Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you guys. Welcome to the first edition of the week of the Full 100. Today is Monday, the 22nd of February, and we're heading closer to spring. We actually had a bit of a spring sneak preview, if you like, this past weekend, if you were in the south of England. Guys, today's show is a sad one. It's a sad one. Today's show is about the injustices that we still must fight, and every black person still must, be active on. Summer's coming, surely. I expect the protests of last summer to carry on because Boris and his team have done nothing at all. I expect that by summer, the US will be showing some movement. He's already signed executive orders. I've brought that to this show. And his Attorney General, who's getting sworn in today, or who's going through the Senate approval today, his main thing is fighting on his agenda. The first thing the US Attorney General says is fighting is extremism, white extremism, inequality, civil rights. So I'm really pleased that, like I always say, politics matters, man. Who you vote and put in place to make decisions for you does matter. So I'm hoping that come summer, we will be following in the lead and pressuring this government here and all across Europe to follow in the lead of the United States government in the progress and the laws and the movement they're making towards equality and racial justice. So that's what this show is about, guys. So without further ado, let's get down to today's show. Guys, I'm going to start with a video. But before I play this video, let me quickly explain something. There's a new term now. It's existed in the last, I think, 5-6 months maybe. But it's a term that the rest of the world have put around the neck of extremists, far right, and right-wing politicians. Is that we come out with Black Lives Matter because it came from somewhere, and those right-wing people come out with All Lives Matter, to try and just dilute it. Then they come out with Blue Lives Matter. We're crying that the police have shot someone who was unarmed, who doesn't deserve to be dead and in a mortuary. And when we come out and say Black Lives Matter, these right-wing far-right extremists come out and say Blue Lives Matter. So that whole thing is called whataboutism. Whataboutism is like, what about that side? What about this side? So the reason I'm going to show this video is that they've gone totally crazy with this thing now, that they are comparing those insurrectionists who acted on hate, they acted on supremacy, they acted on a lie inspired by the most evil leader the Western world ever saw since Hitler. They're comparing that to those who spontaneously come out because they've seen something on TV with another brutality happening to someone who looks like them. They're comparing the two. Some are even going, politicians, elected people, right, are even going as far as saying those insurrectionists were Black Lives Matter people who put on Trump's clothing. Have you ever seen so many white people at Black Lives Matter movement? Where it was 99.99, I only saw 2 black faces. It was 99.9999999% white. And these people could look in the camera and go to a TV channel and say that. And the host says, yeah, really? Okay, that's interesting. Well, but they all forget that this idiot Trump was telling these guys he loves them. So Trump loves Black Lives Matter now? So this is the madness that is going on right now. And it leads me to the shocking story that I'm going to air second of a 9-year-old girl, right, being gassed, being sprayed and handcuffed The 9-year-old baby. Just 1 year older than my son. Sorry, 1 year younger, sorry, than my son. A 9-year-old girl child. Pepper spray a 9-year-old. By 2 adult officers. Then we're going to go into the story of Emmett Till. I hope some of you know who Emmett Till is. But Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy who went to visit his family members in Mississippi, in another place, in another area. While visiting family members, he stops at a grocery shop. The white woman in the grocery shop then calls out, "Who are you looking at?" and accuses this boy of looking at him. A 14-year-old accuses a 14-year-old of looking at her kind of sexually. The boy gets lynched at 14. His death triggered the civil rights movement, right? His death really triggered. That was the beginning. It was in 1955. That gave rise to the Martin Luther Kings and the civil rights movement and everything else that happened after that. Many more lives were lost after that, as you guys know. But Emmett Till was 14 years old. We're going to feature him because his home, they've just honored his memory, right? Now, the white woman who accused him of that, I have to tell you, years later, confesses that she lied. But it was too late for a 14-year-old kid. These white supremacists do not recognize our children as children. That 14-year-old could have been a 42-year-old man, as far as they care. That 9-year-old who the police sprayed could have been a 39-year-old woman for all they care. Matters not. They're 4 years old. We've seen the British police push down fathers and push little toddlers aside because they're black. You know, they're not worth nothing. We can just kick them down. That's why this show's a sad show. I'll take you to my first video. Take a look.
Why this rush to try to blame both sides?
You know, the problem here, Rev, is that we have a false dichotomy in this country where we have the desire to want to do a both sidesism. The reality here is that you have angry white supremacists who recognize that their country is changing, and Donald Trump told them to take it back by force. And then you have black people that are in the streets desperately saying that our lives matter because we don't want to be killed in broad daylight or in our own homes or in our own cars or in front of our children, right? These two things are not like the other, right? Like, they are incredibly different. And when we decide to put them side by side, we know that it is a lie, because white supremacy in and of itself is a lie. It has told white people that they are exceptional, that everyone else needs to be blocked out of their path, right, in order for them to be able to do what it is that they want. Shermichael just said it. As we watched Capitol police officers literally move out of their way. Right. They had the ability to build a guillotine. Tell me we weren't even able to bring water bottles to Black Lives Matter marches. So tell me how you're able to put together a full guillotine and then scream at the top of your lungs to hang the vice president of the United States and then know that you're going to go home and wake up in your bed the next day, right? Like, we're going out to march for our lives, and black people are writing their phone numbers and their addresses on their arms so that they know that people know where to find them, because we know that we are not safe in the street protesting and acting on behalf of our First Amendment rights. So it's a false dichotomy to say one of these things is like the other, because they are not. And when the media does that, we do disservice to the real threat. And this is how what happened on 1/6 is ignored, because we think that, oh, you know, it's a group of white people, so we don't need to put together the full force, even though they've been saying out in the open that they're going to be violent.
Welcome back, guys. And these are politicians. These are people who go on TV to speak. They're meant to be people with a reputation. People you should be able to listen to what they say and they make sense. Comparing, right, supremacists and racists to civil rights campaigners, right? Comparing civil rights campaigners to white terrorists, like they're the same thing even. Guys, listen, I'm going to go to my next video now, yeah? For me, this whole thing is getting very frenzied, And it's only going to end one way. The insurrection that happened on the 6th of January, I warned about it back in the summer of last year. I warned about it long before he said, Proud Boys stand back and stand by and stand back, or whatever it is he said. That's it. I talked about it long before that. Long before that. Listen, let me go on to my next video, guys. My next video now, right, guys, is the story of the 9-year-old child, baby, who was sprayed and handcuffed by 2 burly officers. Take a look.
Handcuffing and pepper spraying a 9-year-old girl in Rochester on Friday. Police say officers were responding to a report of family trouble and were told the girl was suicidal and that she wanted to kill her mom. Well, police say she refused to get into the police car, and they tried several times to get her in the car before using pepper spray. Now, we're going to show you that in just a moment, and I want to warn you that you may find this video, you will find it disturbing.
Dear, why, just stop for a second and take a deep breath. Hey, just stop.
I will get your dad. No, you said that you were going to pepper spray me. No, please, no, stop. Sit back. Oh, I got a bad arm.
Just spray her.
No, I have
Just
a bad
spray her at this
arm.
point.
Stop.
Dear. I got her. I got her. Yeah.
Please, wipe my eye. Wipe my eye, please.
So the girl was brought to Rochester General Hospital and later released. The police department says what happened was not okay. The city announcing today the officers involved have been suspended. So joining me now to discuss is Derek Johnson, the president and CEO of the NAACP. What's your reaction to seeing that girl being pepper sprayed?
Horrific. There is no justification. No one was in danger to treat a child in this manner. And people wonder why there is such a reaction to how police are funded.
Welcome back, guys. The baby is begging grown-ups not to pepper spray her. In what other context would that not be a straight prison sentence for the adult? And make sure they stay away from all children from hence on. In what other context would that be allowed? You know, she was begging them, and he still didn't say, he didn't touch them. Just like 70 years ago with EMMETT Till. He must have begged. He must have told them he didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't know she did like what I was doing. What did I do wrong? I'm sorry. They didn't listen. They hung him and lynched him. Just like these cops did not listen. They still pepper sprayed her and handcuffed her. A baby. It brings tears and anger all at the same time. I'm going to go to the story of EMMETT Till now. Just to remind you guys that what this woman did 70 years ago is what we call Karens today. Only they've had a resurgence since Trump. They cannot dissipate and went into their little supremacist cliques and just kept within their groups in the South and wherever else. What pubs, them racist pubs that they're drinking over here. But since Trump, they've come back again. So take a look at what Karen 70 plus years ago did to a 14-year-old child who looks just like me.
Well, a teen's tragic murder during Jim Crow inspired a movement for change and now an honor. EMMETT Till's home on the south side of Chicago has just gained landmark status. Till moved into the Woodlawn home when he was 10 years old. 4 years later, in 1955, Till was lynched while visiting relatives in Mississippi for allegedly whistling at a white woman. The picture of his body at the funeral becoming one of the iconic images of the time. The men who killed him were acquitted on murder charges, and years later, the white woman who accused Till admitted she lied.
I'm going to go to my last video now. And this just shows the disparity why we have to keep fighting. Many of you remember I featured that racist boy of 17 who went all the way from his state clean across to another state, 17 years old, with an AR-15 machine gun, and went straight into the crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters and killed 2 of them. The boy was arrested. Trump defended him, as they do. Fox News, all the right-wing media, they all defended him. Said he was protecting himself, even though he crossed 2 state lines to go and do what he did, armed. But he was defending himself in the lie. You go into the lion's den instead of being at home playing computer games. You kill 2 people, and the right wing believe you're defending yourself. Okay. Anyway, he gets bail, and guess what? He skipped his bail. Spotted in town drinking with the Proud Boys and his mother. Take a look.
Prosecutors in Kenosha, Wisconsin want an arrest warrant issued for Kyle Rittenhouse, alleging he violated his bond by failing to notify authorities about a change of address. Essentially, prosecutors say they don't know where this young man is. Rittenhouse is charged with fatally shooting 2 men and wounding another at a protest in Kenosha following the police shooting of Jacob Blake last summer. Prosecutors are also seeking to increase his bond to $200,000. Last month, prosecutors raised concerns when he was seen drinking in a bar with his mother and members of the Proud Boys.
Welcome back, guys. This show has really peed me off when I was putting it together, and airing it now still pisses me off. But I don't want you guys to have a pissed off week, so have a fantastic week ahead. It's only Monday. We're heading towards better times. We should know tonight regarding the lockdown. It looks like we're nearing the end of the lockdown, so just take care of yourselves, guys. Please hit subscribe. We need subscribers. Many of you are watching the videos and not subscribing. We need you guys to subscribe to make a statement, because that statement means we're doing something right. So if you think we're doing something right and you watch this, hit subscribe. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.